do these talks, it's after lunch and everyone's asleep. Now it's after a drink. Yeah, so never done this before, and I've had one myself, so hopefully this will be all right. So how do I start this? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to talk a bit about agriculture, AI, and robotics, and some of the work that we're doing at Lincoln. But what I want to do is it's really just a flavour of the future, and just want to make people think about what the future could be like with agriculture and robotics. So this is me, and I'm very proud of that award which you gave me in 2022. So thank you very much. Yeah. So. I'm very proud of the Queen's Anniversary Prize, which David just mentioned. So, so we get to go to the Palace in February, meet a chap called Charles for that one. So what I thought I'd do is try and sow a few seeds, and this is around AI and robotics. And if I went back a year ago, I'd have to really sort of try and paint a picture of what AI might look like. But AI has moved at such a huge rate now, and certainly since I think January 2023, when OpenAI hit the world in a massive, it was probably November actually, but so when OpenAI hit the world, for the first time we could start to ask AI what AI thinks of agriculture. And so what I thought I'd do is cut out the middleman, which is me, and start to sort of paint a picture of what AI can do and what it thinks about. And so for this talk, what I did, I went on to an OpenAI program called Doll E2, and I said to Doll E2, show me what an agricultural robot will look like. And so the first one on the left, I said to Doll E2, I said, paint me a picture of a strawberry harvesting robot. Of course, I work on strawberry harvesting robots, so I know what I know what I think it should look like. Anyway, and this is what Doll AI came up with. So I don't think it's got a great future as a tool to develop at the moment, but don't forget this is yeah, here you go, sort of heavyweight machine. There's a significant flaw, which you might have noticed, with it sort of wheeling all over the strawberries. So you don't need to know a lot about strawberries to know that that's not a great robot, but that's what AI thinks an agricultural robot should look like. Then because Jude was here, I thought, show me an image, build me a robot which can shear a sheep. And there it is. It's a very content-looking sheep, isn't it? So I'm really not convinced that that's probably what the future's going to look like. But we laugh about it now. But these things in the future are going to come very, very quickly, I think, and we're going to see some realistic things. At the moment, the way this AI works is it sort of creates, it takes data from the world and it tries to put things together, contextualize data, and then that's its best shot. Of course, in a few years' time, when we've got these machines operating, these are going to be in much greater precision and much more accurate than they are today. So yeah, Doll AI. So, and then what I thought I'd do is really just to show you another thing, which is ChatGPT. Which I think is an amazing program. If you haven't used it, get on it now. Well, in the World Cup rugby, I think it was a South Africa match. 10 minutes before the South Africa match, I had to write a job description for a CEO for a company, and I thought, oh god, that's going to be hard, and it's 10 minutes to go. So I turned on ChatGPT and the most amazing jobs, and we successfully filled that post with the most amazing person, and I got to watch the rugby as well. But then I thought I'd do is ask it. These things get better, and there's more data, and these things get more intelligent. So I thought I'd ask it a question. So I asked this question: I have grey mould on my strawberry. What is it, and how do I treat it? And so there's no training. This is just the open AI model, and it came back with this. I've cut out most of it, but it's a grey mould on strawberries is most likely caused by a fungus called Botrytis cinerea tick. It's pretty good. So if your garden's question time, you're getting worried right now. So Bob Flowerdew, watch out. This fungus thrives in cool, damp conditions and can be a common problem in strawberries. Correct, especially if weather is humid. Here's how you can identify and treat it. And it came up with a list of pesticides, which were accurate, which was very, very surprising. It told you how to treat it, when to treat it with pesticides, told you cultural methods, the whole lot. It was, and that was an untrained model. I thought, whoa, that is pretty impressive. And then I thought, what I'll do is go to my little friend Doll E2, and I said to him, what is a world of robotic gardeners look like? So and this is what it showed, which I thought was, and it like that quick. So I like to claim that I'm a great artiste, and I spent hours creating this image, but it, like that, and that's what it produced. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So watch out, gardeners question time. So AI is really coming, and of course we're really in the infancy. And if you think about the technology that we've got and the timelines of technology that we've got, this technology is fairly spooky in terms of what it can do now, and then think about what it can do in the future. Quite extraordinary. So that's a dystopian. I think I call that a dystopian view, because that's a world we don't know. The gardeners question time. But then so much for dystopia. We're living in a real world, and the world's changing. It's changing very, very fast indeed. And then the real question is, where can AI and robotics help, and where can it help now and in the next 3 to 5 years? So that's the real world, because these are massive problems that we're facing. So I work particularly in agri-robotics, particularly around seasonal workers and migrant workers. We've all seen the press. There is a massive problem, which really most people point at Brexit. A lot of people point at Brexit as a root of the UK problem, and it is an issue. So pre-Brexit, we had EU seasonal migrant workers. We had 69,000 in the United Kingdom harvesting fruit and veg. Brexit came along, followed by the implementation of the Immigration Act. That access to workers was taken away from farms. That's a massive problem. And now farms are allowed, I think they've got licenses for 45,000 workers. So 69,000, 45,000, there's a massive delta already, but those 45,000 are only allowed in the United Kingdom for 6 months each. So there's a massive problem. This is a real world problem. And then on top of that, you've got the national living wage, which is going up and up and up. It's the easiest way for the government to not change taxes, but to increase to increase money going back to workers. So that's driving inflation. That's driving pressure on these farms. So huge labour problems, but it's not just a UK problem. Everywhere you go in the world, there's pretty much got labour problems. California is a great example. China is a great example. Japan demographics is a great example. So one of the major constraints on agriculture worldwide is labour and access to labour. So it's a real problem. So how do you deal with that? So robotics has clearly got a key. Then of course we need to change diets. I think particularly around health and all those sorts of things. We're encouraged to eat a more balanced plate, more fruit and vegetables on the plate. I used to work for Marks and Spencer. I know very, very well that the biggest driver of change of behaviour for food is price. So when price goes down, people buy certain food. That's the biggest changer. So all the nudge theory, all the social science in the world never beats price in my commercial experience. How do you deal with price? You've got to deal through productivity. So you've got to make these foods more economic, more productive, lower cost of production. You've got to take cost out of food to get the prices down so that you can drive more sustainable, more healthier foods. And then really, as Jude mentioned, climate has no borders. So climate change is a massive global issue. I mean, look at this year. I mean, it's the wettest year ever, isn't it, really? It's absolutely nuts. And every year there's something that is nuts. So one of my good farming friends said to me last year, he said, Simon, in the last 6 years, I've had a 1 in 100-year weather event, but each one of them is different. And that's the statistics of climate change if you're in farming, and that's happening all the time. So you need new ways to do things, and robotics and AI, we think, will actually help with some of those real challenges. And the King, it's a Royal AgSoc, has a view. So I hope the sound works on this.
We are witnessing one of the greatest technological leaps in the history of human endeavour. The rapid rise of powerful artificial intelligence is considered by many of the greatest thinkers of our age to be no less significant, no less important than the discovery of electricity, the splitting of the atom, the creation of the World Wide Web, or even the harnessing of fire.
So I'm very grateful for His Majesty for tuning in tonight for the Royal Agricultural Society lecture. David's pulled a few strings, and but isn't it interesting that the King says that? Now that was broadcast just before the Global Summit for AI, which was hosted by Rishi Sunak, I think back in November, really to look at things like the regulation of AI, because all this technology is moving at huge pace, and so we've got this massive technological change. But then technology can be for the good, but technology can also be for the bad. So regulation of these technologies is very, very important. And so Sunak got the King involved in this, really to give it some real gravitas, that this is not just a political thing, that society needs to really think about these technologies. So that was before the AI summit in November, and the ramifications of that are now running through. So this is the only lecture-y, technical, professorial graph that I'm going to show you. And I don't have many of these, because although I am a professor, as David said, I only have to do 2 hours a year of lecturing, so I don't have a massive amount of graphs to go from. But I thought it's really interesting. So when we talk about this area, we talk about robotics and AI. So robotics and AI, are they different things, or the same thing, or are they a class of technologies? In reality, they are a class of technologies. So agricultural robotics is really just the physical manifestation of AI, artificial intelligence. So just the physical manifestation of it. So all those robots that you see are very, very, very clever machines, and they're all enabled by AI, whether it's the vision system, the navigation system, and all those sort of nuts and bolts things. So robotics is the cyber physical world of AI. AI tends to, pure AI, the data bit, is what we call augmented systems, and those are purely digital systems. So you can have a AI system that doesn't need a robot, but it's very, very unusual for an advanced robot. It's almost impossible for an advanced robot to not work without AI. Now, that's really important technically, because in agriculture works in the physical world. So we're dealing with AI in the physical world, and those are robots which in the physical world can do all sorts of important jobs, such as selective harvesting. So the AI there is doing the vision piece, the control piece, the autonomy piece. There might be robots which go in the real world, which care for crops, and that could be weeding robotics, so robots which go around and kill weeds. There might be robots which identify pests, robots which count aphids on wheat crops, and all those sorts of things, robots which estimate the amount of nitrogen that goes onto a wheat crop from sensors. There might be robots which are involved in animal care. So the biggest adaptation of robots in the world is actually dairy robots. It's in dairy industry is the leader for agriculture robotics, and actually the leader for service robots worldwide. So agriculture's got something to be proud of. I think the other thing, and we've got Paul Miller here, let's be really honest. So weeding robotics, Paul was just in, where's Paul? Over there. So Paul did some of the first work on this in 1984 at Silso Research. And then the dairy robot, I think, was done at Silso Research. So these are innovations with a very British heritage, and these are now worldwide systems. AI, we talk about augmented systems, so we talk about systems which drive intelligence. And these really will be data support platforms, digital platforms. So they'll take data perhaps on the whole farm and optimize very complex data sets, maybe vision data sets, maybe worker data sets, maybe soils data sets, and provide decision support. So if you're a farmer, you have a platform, it then provides you some views on decisions, they help you with your decisions, and then you go and action those decisions. And where AI is going is what's called explainable AI. So we're now looking at systems where we take huge amounts of data, all sorts of data, but we provide insight on a decision, but what the AI can now do is explain those decisions. So it will say, well, actually, I think that strawberry, it's grey mould, but I think it's botrytis, and it will say, actually, I think it's botrytis for these reasons, but it might, and if you treat it, it will cost you this much, and the gain is that much. Or it might say, actually, there's a very small chance that it's something else, such as powdery mildew. And then if it is powdery mildew, it will say, actually, that's a massive problem because it goes across your whole crop and it will be devastating. So it's then explaining those decisions. Then as a farmer, it's your choice. When you go out, you check it and how you do it. So explainable AI is the next step. So it's not just giving you a decision, it's telling you why it actually made that decision. And then these are the sorts of horizontal areas where AI really helps. So, and there's many of them, but these are just 4. So we have intelligent decisions, which is explainability, which I just mentioned. You might have AI for autonomy and fleet coordination. So you might have lots and lots of small robots. They've got to communicate with each other, understand with each other, and that's autonomy, fleet coordination. They might need to be involved in manipulation, very important, selective harvesting, and perception. So identifying things, and we're seeing these technologies now coming across all areas of agriculture, horticulture, arable systems, dairy systems, beef systems, the whole lot. They're coming very, very quickly. So these are some of the things that we do at Lincoln. Hopefully the video will play. So now I wanted to show you some of the research that we're doing, and I just want to show you the first bit. I'll slow down a video of some pickers, just show you how difficult this is. So I'm illustrating with strawberries and showing how difficult. I show these 2 people picking strawberries. I had a brilliant idea that I was going to challenge 2 human pickers on Country File, rather like a Top Gear challenge. So we rang them up and we got them over, and I got Stan and Marge from my local chip shop who are ready to actually be my pickers, and Country File brought these 2. Absolutely thrashed me, but absolutely brilliant. But if you see what they're doing, incredibly incredible detail. So utopian, so manipulation. These robots are now really coming quite quick. There's 10 of these now at Dyson Farming in Lincolnshire. It's a company called Dogtooth, and they're not at human picking rates yet, but you can see the rate which these things are developing. At University of Lincoln, we've got quite a big team developing these systems, lots of robots, a 5G rig, and this is just one of our systems. We had this one at COP26. This shows the perception, and this is a picker. There's 2 cameras in this head, which is localizing not just the fruit, but really the pick point, the stem. So very, very accurate control. And this is
ghostly pale blue shapes gliding their way through the darkness. They're robots at work, protecting strawberries from a fungal disease called powdery mildew.
And those robots, that's a bit of the Country File thing. Those robots now in Kent, there's many of them. I think this year they've done 1 circumnavigation of the Earth of autonomy to an accuracy of 5 centimetres. So extraordinary precision from these robots. Completely eradicated powdery mildew. So very, very successful. Very, very successful use of robots.
Paused. Human is occluding my path.
We're now communicating with the robots. So this is the robot talking to that picker.
Paused, waiting for a new command. Moving away from human.
So you see so you did a hand signal, the robot picked that up, and then he could work out.
Paused, waiting for a new command.
So incredible, this is Intelligent Decision. This is a company which I'm a director of, Fruitcast AI, for fruit forecasting, huge amounts of fruit waste. If you're accurately forecasting, you can set your prices better. It's really to give more power to the farmers. But we've gone from a situation where a farmer would go out and would look at, say, 150 fruit to do a forecast. This thing can now do 3.5 million, not only a day, so it does 3.5 million, but it gives you the date, and it gives you the size, and it gives you that. And this is one for Jude. So watch out, Jude. Your sheepdog are in trouble. And this is a Boston Dynamics robot, and it's in one of our sugar beet field counting aphids. And here you go. These things are amazing. There's a camera in it's a complete gimmick, but just the traction of this is absolutely amazing. It's imaging the trap, and it can count aphids, and then it'll just. And here we go. Boston Dynamics robot. It's a really cool thing, isn't it? And if you're driving through Lincoln, you might see it you're unlikely to, actually. And your sheepdog shouldn't be threatened. but isn't it amazing how that technology is developing, though, isn't it, really? I mean, this Boston Dynamic robot is, 3-4 years old? Quite extraordinary. And you just think, well, give it another 5 years. Where is that going to be? It's quite incredible. And that thing, we have a PhD student working with it who's actually working with BBRO, British Beet Growers Research Organisation, and they're very interested in the aphid trapping for the neonic treatment of sugar beet, and the PhD's really on the trapping. So the PhD student's got an algorithm now which can identify the number of aphids, but even start to speciate the aphids just from image recognition. And then what we tried to do was then just show this application. They are amazing. That thing can walk through a beet crop like nobody's business. And if anybody's been bush beating in sugar beet, you'll know how hard that is. And it just goes through that field like nobody's business. Quite an incredible piece of kit. So that's just given a view. So we've got picking robots, 10 of those now at Dyson Farming. There are many more. I think there's 75 of those out in industry now, of the Dyson one. So they're really of the dogtooth one. We got very, very accurate perception. The Lincoln robot you saw with the pincers, that was developed at Lincoln. That took about 18 months of development. But these technologies now, 18 months development, but not really with teams of multiple PhDs. These are now becoming very accessible technologies which can be readily developed with somebody who's got some skills in data science and AI. So very, very quick. And then you saw the way that we can now talk to a robot. So you can talk to a robot, you can command a robot, the robot can understand your language, you can sign language to a robot, and it will do what you wish. So the autonomy, extraordinary precision. And these are just horticultural robots. So you can start to sense and feel, I think, the pace of change which is coming on with these technologies. And now at Lincoln, we're focusing very much more on arable. And we have this robot which is for phenotyping, so wander around plots of wheat. There's a very sophisticated sensor in here, and we can image a full crop. And we're working with Australian National University to start to use drones and hyperspectral imaging in wheat. And then from the hyperspectral imaging, you can not only tell the nitrogen, but we can now predict the amount of rubisco, which is the main protein driving photosynthesis in a leaf. It's incredible. And that's from machine learning of hyperspectral imaging. so we can really understand the potential of these crops, and then you can do very accurate top dressing. This is another wheat project with Clive Blacker called Fine, NUE Profits, funded by DEFRA FIP. So this one we're using remote sensing with a company called Assimilar, and looking at nitrogen use efficiency. And this cloud here is that field showing the nitrogen use efficiency across the whole field. Extraordinary variability within a single field. And that's pretty representative of most fields. And what we're looking at now is really each of these pixels working out, well, what is the optimum nitrogen rate here for each pixel so it can be done precisely. So very accurate. We've got some high confidence that we can drive nitrogen use efficiency. And this one is that robot showing the this wheat yield. This is a laser scan of that wheat plot with a PhD student. And we looked at different traits in wheat, leaf architecture, angles, thickness. And then from that, we think we've identified traits which can increase yield by about 5%. Well, if that's the case, that's more than paid for that at a national scale. But what you can do with these things is a precision that is way beyond a human operator. So that's the direction of travel. It's coming very quick. And then, so I think we're starting to buy into this, and I had the pleasure of writing, co-authoring with George Eustace, the DEFRA Automation and Robotics Review. What I discovered is when you co-author something with a Secretary of State, they don't do much of the work. They're very happy to lend their names to stuff. But I had a quite a good time with George, and George, I think, is a skilled student of agriculture. And he wrote a very good article in the House magazine last year, which said artificial intelligence should make us rethink our skilled migration policy. And what was George talking about? So you see all these technologies coming on. You've heard about ChatGPT and its powerful way it's put gardeners' question time out of work. But there's some real discussion when we did the review around the role of workers in agriculture, and it's fair to say that DEFRA was very much, I think, on the industry side. I mean, I think people think for many reasons DEFRA aren't, but on this one, DEFRA were on the industry side, and it was quite a hard problem to articulate the challenge of agriculture to the Home Office particularly, because the Home Office team would see the press, they'd see the national press, and the national press would say robots are going to take over, robots will do this. And so the Home Office George would say to the Home Office, I need 60,000 licenses. And the Home Office would say, well, actually, you don't need that many because robots are going to take over the world. So George was very, very active in trying to measure that debate and bring it into an accessible language. And what he did was compare the performance of a robot to compared agricultural robots to the complexity of a single person trying to catch a cricket ball. And it's well written in his article. So what he tried to do was portray something extremely complex, which everybody understood, as an analogy to how complex it is to pick a strawberry. And I think he landed that, and he landed that in this article. I think he did a really good job on that. And then he looked at the notion of skills, and really what he tried to do then was divide skills in two ways. Cognitive skills, which are the skills we all use with our minds, and dexterous skills, which are the skills we use with our hands. And if you think about it, so if you're a lawyer or whatnot, ChatGPT could well be quite a significant threat. Though you're a strawberry picker and you saw those two individuals who are amazingly fit people, highly trained people with high dexterous skills, they're harder skills to replace than those cognitive skills. So George's argument was the economy, AI can actually help rebalance the economy a bit and upgrade those dexterous skills. And those are the physical skills which are critical to agriculture. So let's just see how it plays out. So skill levels of dexterous skills could go up. My biggest frustration of the Labour debate is the way people portray seasonal workers as low-skilled workers. They're absolutely not low-skilled workers. They're super fit, highly intelligent, hard-working people with extraordinary hand skills, and that's my deepest frustration of that whole debate. So that's George. And then we wrote the review, and I think that there was a notion that these things will be a panacea, a silver bullet. Robotics aren't. They're a part of the agricultural system. And we've made a whole load of recommendations which still haven't been responded to, nor has the Labour and Horticulture Review of John Shropshire's. We hope that will happen soon. It keeps being promised. And these are the sorts of things there were 7 recommendations. Clearly, we recommended DEFRA needed a longer-term seasonal worker scheme, so it seems that we're listening to that, and with John's Shropshire's review, certainly have listened to that. We talked about government creating leadership to bring together people to collaborate. We talked about missions and all sorts of different things. We talked about skills. We talked about data on farms, digital technology, the whole lot. We talked about regulations. And in fairness to DEFRA, although they've not published a response to the review, they have been getting on with it and cracking on with each of those recommendations. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm quite pleased with the response. And then green shoots. We're starting to see some of these farms really starting to get adopted. And these are some of the companies I flag up. Garford originated from Silso Research, Tillett and Hague, absolutely doing a fantastic job. Money Machines, asparagus harvesting, we're working with those. Garricus Robotics, mushroom harvesting. I think mushrooms could be one of the early ones to win. Z-Helm, tomato harvesting. Advanced Farms, an interesting one. That's one in Washington State, and that's started as a strawberry harvester, and then they lifted it vertically and turned it into an apple harvester, and that's close to probably the first one, I think, who knows, that will make commercial breakout. What is commercial breakout? That's the point when a robot picks at the same cost as a human, not the same speed, the same cost. So I think that will be, and then Eco Robotics, there's some terrific startup companies. This is a Swiss company doing weeding robotics, which is doing a great job. And then the 3 I've put in the top, all were selected for the Global Investment Summit at Rishi Sunak's 3 weeks ago. I'm proud to say Lincoln's working with all of them. It's Forvald, which is the UV robot company, Fruitcast, which is the AI company, and Dogtooth that you've seen. So we're starting to see these robots really, these companies really come on. We're starting to see them. We need them to go quicker. So none of them yet, as I said, have got human cost parity. And what we need them to do is hit that level before they run out of cash. And that's the biggest issue we've got. So we've got this real issue in the debate of what we can't do is overpromise and get everybody excited, because people like the Home Office say we don't need any workers. What we can't do is be overcautious, because investors will never come in. So we're walking a tightrope continuously to try and be sensible, honest and straight, like Jude says, about where the technology state is, so that we don't stifle this innovation. And then we have some quite big programs with Cambridge particularly on developing some of these technologies in the Lincoln area. So closing in, I've got 2 slides left. So back to my favourite thing, which was Dolly 2, and what everybody's freaking out around in AI, particularly, is this notion of AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, and that's when a robot becomes more intelligent than humans. So that's AGI. Now, if you said to me a year ago that ChatGPT would come on, I'd never have believed it. So who knows what's going to happen? This thing could come quite quickly, but everybody's worried about the Terminator thing. So in I think it was May 2022, I went to Boris Johnson's food summit in Downing Street, and this was Boris looking absolutely fine. Then we got a robot, and we thought, well, actually, we don't really need him. We could just get this agricultural robot. This is an agricultural robot called Tom. So this guy, Ben, tried to then drive it into the door at number 10 when it didn't fit. And I thought, well, actually, maybe this thing could take over from this thing. And then I thought, well, actually, what does Dawley 2 think? So I said, draw me a picture of a prime minister that's got agriculture at its heart. And here you go. So 5 years, anyone taking bets? yeah. So, and I don't know if you've seen the symmetry here of the, this is the artist in me. So that's what Dawley 2 thinks the future prime minister will look like. There's an election next year, so yeah. And then the final one, I always get asked, how long is it going to take for robots to get into software production? And I've got a little bit fed up with that. So I thought, well, actually, rather than asking me how long it'll take, I thought what I'll do, I'll ask ChatGPT. So I'll ask the robot that thing. So I said, will robots take over in agriculture in 5 years? And ChatGPT said this. It said, well, automation and robotics will continue to play an increasing role in agriculture. It will be a gradual process, and it may take more than 5 years to significantly transform the industry. Farmers and agri-businesses will adopt these technologies as they become more practical, cost-effective, and well-suited to their specific needs. Human labour will likely remain an integral part of agriculture. You're all safe. Complementing automation to improve efficiency and productivity. So that robot is a politician, isn't it? And then someone said to me, well, actually, that's your report. And I said, well, it is. So I think we're relatively safe. But with that, where's Martha? So thank you.